On Nationwide this evening, a safe harbour on the coast of County Waterford. We visit Dungarvan, which is celebrating 800 years of history, to visit the local sites and to meet the TV chef Paul Flynn, who grew up here in this idyllic location. Tá fáilte roimh chuigid leor. You're welcome to the picturesque coastal town of Dungarvan in County Waterford. Looking forward to a weekend of celebration as they prepare to mark the 800th anniversary of the granting of a town charter by King John in 1215. Now, Dungarvan was actually founded by Naomh Garavan in the 7th century, but it was during Norman times that it developed into a town and subsequently a thriving port. And could you ask for a more lovely setting than here on Dungarvan Harbour? The town is situated about halfway between the cities of Waterford and Cork.
I woke up today with this feeling that better things are coming my way. And if the sunshine has a meaning, it's telling me not to let things get in my way.
One of Dungarvan's famous sons is the chef Paul Flynn. He and his wife Maura run the Tannery Restaurant and Cookery School. By his own admission, Paul is a townie, and he took me on a walking tour of Dungarvan recently. Guess where we started? Paul, this is the perfect place to start our conversation.
Yeah.
The weekly market. And you looking for food, are you, for the restaurant? I'll help you.
No, I just get hungry. That's what it is all the time, Mary.
That's
Beautiful
a cute
fish.
for.
Look, for the fish stall.
Straight out of the sea.
Yeah.
Wow. It's all about Dungarvan, isn't it? Because we're celebrating Dungarvan 800 and you are Dungarvan born and bred. Did you grow up in the town?
I did indeed. My house is actually the chemist shop over there.
No.
And there were 8 of us in there. 8 children and my
And
parents.
it's still Flynn's?
Yeah, it's still
Is it still
Flynn's.
in your family?
It is, yeah. My sister runs it now. The square used to have lots of families. You know, the hardware store with the Kearns, and then the Lawns would be another family, and I think there's only one family, maybe 2 families living here now. I'm not quite sure.
So there was a real community.
Absolutely real community. You could not be more towny than we were.
How does a chemist's son end up as a chef? Were you always interested in cooking growing up?
No. Yeah, well, about 14 I started to take on an interest in food when I went on a trip to France with the Scouts, ironically. When I walked into a kitchen for the first time, it was me.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I think so. And I started off in Mary's, and it just got into my bones. And from then, I wanted to be better at it. And I think because it was so rubbish in school, I definitely wanted to prove to my father that I could be good at what I chose to be. And that was very important to me.
Was he very proud of you then?
I think so. I was the head chef of a 2-star restaurant by
At
the
a
time,
very young age.
when I was 23. And really worked hard. So he got it, but maybe he didn't really understand the whole Michelin thing, but that's okay.
And the market is a lovely focal point, isn't it, for people?
Yeah, I'm never up strolling around having a coffee on a Thursday morning, like just chilling out, never. But actually, when you're there, it's really relaxing. And the sense of community, it really lends itself, I suppose, to want to do it more. So this is King John's Castle from the 12th century, and it originally was a Viking settlement as well, so very, very old history attached to this one, Mary. But myself and my buddies used to play here, generally just playing around. It used to be really fascinating when we were younger. You know, there used to be old jail cells, and we were always speculating, when was this from, who was here, what was their story, why were they here? And then there was also a handball alley, and then the Garda, used to be the Garda barracks.
There's a new addition to the whole legacy of Dungarvan since last year, Paul, with the memorial wall.
Yeah, it's a really poignant memorial, Mary. And again, it's something that we needed to be reminded of, and some local people took it upon themselves to discover the Waterford people that died in the First World War. So each parish is designated, and the people from the parish are marked. And it's something that we see people outside the whole time just sitting and looking at it and thinking, and remembering the people that gave their lives for, at the time, was a very, I suppose, contentious issue.
Paul, weren't you a lucky young lad growing up here in Dungarvan? Because, as you said, you had the square for soccer, and this was your playground as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. And down there, Mary, there was a public swimming pool. It's gone now with, I don't know, maybe 15 years. And it was a penny to get in, and we spent the summers between here and Clonea Beach, which is only about 3 miles away, and it was just really sensational.
And look, men fishing over there.
Yeah.
Did you
yeah.
fish?
I didn't. I was pretty rubbish at all that kind of stuff. But I do appreciate it. And then people during the summer, they might come up to me with some fish up to the restaurant. And the whole idea, it's what I wanted. It's what I wanted for my career, for my family, for my home, and for my restaurant.
Maura is your wife,
Yeah.
and she's involved in the restaurant with you and the cookery school.
Yeah.
So, well, it'd be a shame to come to Dungarvan and not have you do a bit of
Oh,
work,
we'd
wouldn't
be
it,
in
Paul?
trouble.
Would we go and have a look in the,
We will
in the
indeed,
restaurant?
maybe.
So this is where your grandfather actually worked.
On this floor.
Oh.
It's kind of nice, isn't it? To have that connection. The leather factory closed only in 1995, actually, and we took it over in 1997, which is amazing to me because it seems such a distant memory in many ways. But sometimes you might get old men come in here and say, I used to know your grandfather in the early days, and he used to work there. He's a really gentle man. He was like a gentle giant. And it was my mother's father, and he was a real townie, and he spent all his life here. And it was really, it was just important to me to continue on that legacy and that tradition and maintain it as a tannery, because it was a tannery. But look, I want to show you the cookery school. I'm incredibly proud of that. I'd love you to meet Maura and maybe get you to eat some oysters. Mary, this is Maura, my wife.
Hello, Maura.
Mary.
The real boss.
The real boss. And here we are in the cookery school. Maura, what's Paul like in the kitchen? Is he a shouty, roary type of a chef?
He doesn't shout so much as, gets quieter and quieter when the pressure is on. So, not really. I suppose we work fairly
Work
okay
well together as a
yeah,
team.
Yeah.
Are you into the food in the same way?
Yeah, I suppose I am, because it's hard to escape from it. Food is our life, it's our livelihood, it's our life, all our producers around us.
I suppose it's appropriate that you should be cooking something from the sea.
What I'm going to do is a dish with gabin chorizo, and oysters and chorizo is actually a Spanish combination. And so you've got a couple of things going on. You have hot and cold, but I've decided just to add something really simple here, a granita. And a granita is an ice, so it's like a slushy.
I feel here in the cookery school, it's almost like having a lesson. Do you like teaching?
I love teaching. I love the fact that people come to me on Saturday mornings when we have our courses, and I can just have a bit of fun with them, really demystify the idea that cooking is something that's incredibly difficult, because it's not.
The other thing I have to ask you is, do you like the television work?
I do like the television
The
work. 'cause,
Lords and Ladles.
Yeah.
You're outside your comfort zone there now, Paul.
Well,
foraging and...
it's very easy for me to look stupid, I have discovered. It's a natural sort of little zone that I have.
No.
If ever, I'm the opposite of Bear Grylls, if you want to be stuck in an island with somebody, let it not be me. So what we're going to have, we have the lovely hot chorizo, the beautiful fresh oyster, and then the chilled parsley granita
interesting
with a little bit of mint going
combination.
through it. Just go for it.
Okay. Well done.
So
Paul,
they're salty. I love them.
a lovely way to celebrate Dungarvan 800
Yeah.
with something as old as time.
Yeah, absolutely. And good things never go away. They just get better.
Well done to Paul and Maura, and continued success at the tannery. Now we're here to celebrate Dungarvan 800. It was in 1215 that King John gave the town charter to Dungarvan here, and it was 75 years later, actually, in 1290, that the Augustinians arrived here in Dungarvan. Father Tony Egan, you're the prior of the Dungarvan Augustinians. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you, Mary.
Well,
You're
now
very welcome.
I can see that they had a very easy way of getting to this position,
Yes.
because they came from England, isn't that right?
They came from what we call our mother house in Clare Priory in Suffolk. They came there in 1248, and in 1290 the friars, the Augustinians, came from there, sailed in here into beautiful Dungarvan Bay.
To the sunny southeast.
To the sunny southeast. And we've never looked back. We're here
Never looked
since.
back. You have, so that's what, nearly just
725 years.
and you've been part of the teaching of the children of this.
Part and parcel of Dungarvan for those 725 years. Yeah. and it was then in the early 19th century, the early 1880s, that we came back and built a priory in the town of Dungarvan, built a school beside it, and the first pupils numbered about 30. I think it was 30 pupils entered at that time. And then in the late 1960s, early 1970s, we built a new college here in Abbeyside, St Augustine's College, Abbeyside. So if you like, after all those years, we came back to our original location here in Abbeyside. And we went from 30 on day one in that college in the town to 300 that day. And I think it's double that number now.
And it's co-ed now?
It's co-ed, yes, it's co-ed. And we have a lady principal, lovely lady, doing an excellent job.
Isn't it lovely also to feel that this is the ruin of the priory, and
Yes.
yet Mass is still celebrated here?
Mass,
It's still a place of
yeah.
worship.
Yeah, as we speak, Mass is being celebrated in there. In its St Augustine's church, it is now, it's no longer an Augustinian church. It's belonged to the Diocese of Waterford and Lismore, but it still bears the name of St Augustine, and Mass is being celebrated right as we speak.
You've been here for 725 years,
Yes.
and as you say, been so much a part of the fabric of Dungarvan society. When you look into the future, if you had a crystal ball, do you think you'll be here in another 700 years?
Oh, Mary, I can't say for definite. Only God knows, and He won't tell. But I sincerely hope so. Maybe not in the same way that we are here now, but I hope that the spirit of St Augustine, the spirit of the Augustinians, the spirit of those Augustinians who came in here 725 years ago, I sincerely hope and pray that that will be here. I'm confident that the good people of Dungarvan and Abbeyside will continue with that noble tradition.
Isn't this a beautiful display of yellow roses? I tell you, Dungarvan is looking very well for its 800 celebrations, and the scent is amazing. Someday there will be a scent button on television and we'll all be delighted. We're going to take a break now, but don't go away, because when we come back we will be hearing about the Bachelor Duke, the Duke of Devonshire, who played a significant role in the development of Dungarvan. We'll talk to you again in a couple of minutes. You're welcome back to Nationwide, and you're welcome back to Dungarvan, celebrating the 800th anniversary of the granting of a town charter by King John. Jim Shine has been involved with the Dungarvan Museum for many years. Now, Jim, we're here at King John's Castle. Actually, I was here earlier chatting with Paul Flynn, and when he was growing up, it was a Garda station, and he used to play handball. But it has a much more illustrious history than that, doesn't it?
Oh, indeed it does. It began in the reign of Prince John, actually, before he became king. He was given the Lordship of Ireland by Henry II, and one of the things he set about doing was to consolidate his hold on the southern part of Ireland and started building castles. This would have been one of the first he built. It was part of the defence of a town which King John set up, and he gave the town, shortly after it was established, he gave it a charter then.
The Dukes of Devonshire became involved then in the development of the town. How did that come about?
Oh, that would have been very, very much later, in the 1800s, and again it was a matter of politics. You know, in order to boost his prospects of getting appropriate voting rights, and he completely transformed the town, because first of all he built a causeway and bridge across the river and built the quays, and then laid out the town square. Most of what you see nowadays the square and the streets coming off the square and so on and down towards the old main street. These would have been developments by the Duke.
You've been involved with the museum for many years and you obviously have a fascination with the story of Dungarvan.
Yeah.
What way do people react when they hear all this really rich history?
Well, I think, you know, people are becoming more and more interested in, you know, establishing themselves in a sort of matrix of history and architecture and things like that, you know, and it gives much more meaning to architecture when you know the story of it. And so all of this is part of what the museum tries very hard to do, you know, to expose the rich history of the town and to, as far as we can, explain it to people and get them interested, you know. So, and we think it's working too.
A rich historical tradition there. You know, Dungarvan has an awful lot going for it. Excellent road links between Waterford and Cork, a beautiful coastal location. It was a thriving port. We want to find out now about business opportunities in the town. Jenny Beresford is from the Chamber of Commerce. So, what's business like these days in Dungarvan, Jenny?
Business, Mary, thankfully is going really well for people in Dungarvan. They seem to have traded really well out of recession, and this was due to a number of factors in Dungarvan, possibly one being that we might have been sheltered from the enormous expenditure that might have happened throughout the boom. So we didn't feel you know, an enormous impact immediately from the recession, but otherwise people really put a lot of thought into how to trade out of it. There's an awful lot going for Dungarvan as regards, there's a spread of industry here. There is industrial, there's retail, and there's also hospitality. So there's a nice spread of employment.
Sunny days are shining. Nowhere else to be.
The hospitality sector is, I suppose, renowned as well, and we're here in one of the oldest buildings, isn't it? The Moorings?
That's right, it's one of the oldest buildings, indeed it does.
What a lovely backdrop with the castle just behind us.
Absolutely, so obviously the castle is there since the 1200s, and so the Moorings is here since at least the 1800s, and it has wonderful history. Right behind the area there's a small parking lot, and that's actually called the coach house, so it was formerly a coach house, so it just goes to show the
carriages probably stopped along here.
That's right, and so, you know, even in those times there was some overnight accommodation that could be had down the quay because it was the trading port.
When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown.
An awful lot of towns, their shopping centres are a bit outside, and that brings people out of the town, but here all the big shops are right in the heart of it, so people are drawn in.
We have a wonderful town centre with a very active heartbeat in it, and the shopping centre was really cleverly placed as that it's just off the town square. It was formerly a butter plant, and so it might have employed about 100 people at the time, and now it's been converted and it employs about 300 people, so it was very clever. The square itself is the oldest square in Ireland, and it's a magnificent square, and it really has a wonderful atmosphere to it, and there's so many events and activities that take place on the square as well, and it's a natural centre of any town, so we've been very lucky with that as well.
Tell us about Walton Park.
Walton
One
Park.
of your famous sons.
Yes, indeed. That's after Ernest Walton, the Nobel laureate. And so there's a wonderful park that links Dungarvan with the village of Abbeyside, and it's just over the bridge. And it's a wonderful open space, and it was redeveloped there about just over 10 years ago, and it's called Walton Park. And even within the environs of Walton Park, there's a fabulous Causeway Tennis Club and Bowling Club. Or Bowls Club even, and a lovely playground for children. And that park, it's like there's always people over there, it's active all the time, and even at Christmas time we have a very unique Christmas lights display, Dungarvan Aglow. I'd encourage anybody to come here, but even up to 10, 11 o'clock at night the park is packed with people just meandering along. It's really fabulous recreational area.
Dungarvan, because of its coastal location, has a proud maritime history. It was once a thriving port, and now the harbour is a great place for pleasure craft. People come and they enjoy the lovely scenery of the quay and the surrounding area. I'm going to have a chat with the Vice Commodore now of the Dungarvan Harbour Sailing Club. His name is Austin Flynn. Austin, hello.
Hello Mary, you're very welcome to Dungarvan Harbour Sailing Club.
Thank you very much. Haven't you a gorgeous location?
Yes, it's great, isn't it?
And it's great to have this kind of walkway down to the marina.
Yeah, this is new. This is just 2 years in now. Just 2 years here. We were very lucky we got co-funding from the Leader Partnership, and the Town Council assisted us as well in every way they could, so it's a great facility.
I'd imagine that this has been a great asset.
Oh, it
to
is.
the club.
Yeah. It's fantastic for the club. It's so safe. It's got all the facilities. It's got water and electricity, and visitors are accommodated here. It's great for them, and it's right in the centre of town.
I can't imagine anything nicer than tying up here and then going up into the town and, you know, just walking around and having some nice meal or something.
Yeah, well, we have, the town, we have award-winning restaurants. There's a restaurant to suit every pocket. All the way, Paul Flynn has the Tannery, which is one end of the scale, and you can go all the way, anything. It's ideal for family. There's family-type restaurants as well that people, and a great selection of nighttime activity as well.
Well, those are the celebrations sorted for Dungarvan Harbour. There'll be lots happening in and around the town as well. We're in the Castle Yard, King John's Castle. We're going to have a chat with Rose Ryle from Waterford County Council, because it's very quiet here today now, Rose, but on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, this place is going to be hopping. What's planned?
Well, on Friday evening at 6:15, proceedings will begin with the arrival of a flotilla in the harbour here. King John will be on board with his knights. He'll arrive here at the castle and he'll present a charter to the chairman of the Lismore and Dungarvan Council.
And what about the whole weekend? There'll be
on Saturday here we'll have a medieval village, and we'll also have medieval reenactments. We'll have food stalls, and we'll also have traditional crafts such as basket making, butter making, coin minting, weaving. Isn't it lovely to think that this weekend this castle will be just full of life again, breathing life back into it? It will be fantastic, because back in the olden times this castle would have been full of activity, perhaps of battles and things like that, and soldiers, but this weekend will be a weekend of fun. There'll be dancing, there'll be theatre, and as I said, the reenactments as well, so it will be full of life and activity. It seems to me Dungarvan is the place to be this weekend. The town is going to be en fête, celebrating the 800th anniversary of its charter. There's going to be lots of fun for everybody, young and old. So if you're down around these parts, really, why not drop in and enjoy the fun? Shindera Lashidlor, ben muitna Rashliv, Eranina, agus Godishan on the Haina Erevorin, agus on Nun Garavan, Igonde Fortarige, Iwagwiv, agus Godeshiv Slán. On next Friday's Nationwide, a coastal town with a long history. We move west of Dungarvan to see the attractions of the County Cork town of Youghal. We visit the refurbished clock tower and see some of the many attractions for the visitor to this historic town.
And that's all on Nationwide Friday at 7. Up next, with only one spot left on the shop shelves, it's a nail-biting finale for the final 2 contestants in the Taste of Success.